There's a critical difference between how high-level tennis players serve and how normal tennis players serve, and that difference is a contrast between circles and lines. Circles and lines. High-level tennis players are drawing two circles, which I'm going to show you right now with their serve. Circle number one happens between the setup and the racket drop. So just watch the tip of Novak's racket here, and watch how as he goes up into his trophy pose, then goes down into the racket drop and then up towards the point of contact, he's going to complete a full circle with the tip of his racket. You see that round path? It doesn't draw like a literal, actual perfect circle, but do you see how it's moving in a circular path, up and then around, and that's the worst circle I've ever drawn, but you see what I'm talking about with the tip of his racket, right? Then as he goes up towards contact, watch the tip of his racket again. And again, you're going to see that the tip of his racket goes up and then down and around and traces another circle. And again, not a perfect circle, not a full circle, but hopefully you see what I'm talking about. Now, I just worked with two students. I just got back from a trip to California, and I have two examples here of lines, two different lines. And the reason why I'm talking about this is I went through the same progressions with both players. I'll show you the before and after right now, and then I'll show you the drills. It's going to be a separate video. I'll link you to that video so you can see the exact drills that I went through with these two players. So here is student number one, her original serve, and I want you to watch the tip of her racket. And I'm going to draw your attention to one other thing, but watch the tip of her racket go back into her, let's call it, trophy pose, but everybody knows this as the waiter tray position, right? And the other thing I'm going to point out to you here is her hand. If she were to open the palm of her hand right now in this position, the palm of her hand, if she were to open her fingers, would be facing straight upwards. And I'll connect the dots for you there in a second. So just imagine she opens her hand up, her palm will be facing upwards. And from this position, she's laying up her racket behind the ball and then pushing forwards through the ball in a straight line. So this is not a circular path. This is a linear path. And so when players set up in a waiter tray position, it's almost always a straightforward push, which now we're really just kind of relying on the shoulder, the forearm, the hand to hit the ball. The arm is being hinged back and then hinged forwards. And you can see this player, I'll play you her motion in full speed in a second, trying super physically hard to hit the ball in this straight line. But because it's a linear swing, it's just a very tiny, small runway. The professional player we looked at, Novak, those two circles give him a long flowing motion where he can ramp up speed and then ramp down speed. And in a linear swing like this one, there isn't any significant runway. We're just setting up right behind the ball, pushing forwards, trying as hard as we can to create force. Watch it in real time here. And this is why tennis strokes get kind of jerky and jarring. It's because there's just not much to work with. Sorry, that was at half speed. Let me show you at full speed. So here's a full speed swing, what this looks like in real life. And we've all seen this motion, right? This is like super, super common. This isn't at all, I'm not trying to at all to be degrading or like derogatory towards this player. This is very, very normal. And I mentioned the hand. Let's go back to Novak real quick and look at where his hand is facing. This is kind of like the fundamentals that get focused on in the drill that I'll link you to in a second. So when he sets up in his trophy pose, if you were to open his hand is facing to the left and a little bit kind of back towards the back fence, not upwards. Then in his drop of the racket, his hand is facing to the left. Did I say left before? I meant to say right. His hand is facing to the right and a little bit back towards the back fence. Then in his racket drop, his hand, if you were to open his fingers, is facing to the left. And then at contact, his hand is facing forwards. And that's what creates the circle, all right? That's what creates this flow and this length. It's also what creates the racket drop, along with his ridiculous, unhuman-like degree of flexibility. Helps create the racket drop as well. But it's the turning inward of the hand and then the stretching of the shoulder that creates the racket drop. So I'm gonna tie all this. Just bear with me here for a second. Let's go back to that student. Lots and lots of tennis videos. And here is, after a session together, watch the difference now as she begins with her hand facing to the right and then drops her racket down with a circular path. You see how now the tip of her racket is tracing through a circle instead of a straight line? And so now we're building room, we're building space, or a runway here, a longer runway to be able to build speed. And now the tip of her racket is making it down all the way to waist height, whereas previously it was stopping at like shoulder height. So again, building in length, building in room to be able to accelerate and create speed. There's lots of other stuff here to work on. This is a before and after of one session together, okay? So go ahead and hold your comments about how, oh, her grip's still not right and her contact point is too low. And like, I know. For me, making the transition from pushing waiter tray type of framework on a serve to a real serve where we've got the racket on edge and we're releasing and we're pronating and all that sort of thing, we have to at least start by creating a circle. We can't do all of those other things, and we can't be directionally correct as long as we're going back and forth, back and forth. So now the student is creating a circle, and she was getting way better results, way less effort out of the gates, and there's still a lot more improvements that we can make. So let me show you one more case study real quick, and then I will show you the video that I'm talking about that will show the actual progressions that I went through both of these players with. So her original serve is here. Look familiar? So where would her hand be facing right now if she opens her fingers up? Her hand would be facing upwards in this position, her strings are facing upwards, aka waiter tray position. And look at she's doing a little better. The tip of her racket is at least dropping down to about mid-back. But notice how her hand stays facing upwards the whole time, and her racket stays facing upwards the whole time. And this is just a back and forth forward push, just like the other student. There's a little mini circle, back here. If you watch the tip of her racket, there's like a little bit of kind of swoop, but super minimal. It's mostly back and forth. And then after going through the exercises together, same ones I did with the other student, watch how now the tip of her racket is going to travel through a big, long circle. So the tip of her racket now is making it down past waist height, and now her hand is facing to the left and then coming up and facing forwards. So she's starting to get some release here. She's starting to get some, what people typically refer to as snap. That's what snap is externally rotating the hand initially, and then internally rotating the hand through the point of contact. That's what snaps the racket. It's not the hand, it's not the hand itself. It's like this entire chain has to coil up and then uncoil, and that's where we get the snap from. She's starting to do that. So I'm going to link to the step-by-step drills I did with both of these players right at the end of this video. You'll see it pop up on the screen. I'll also put it in the first comment down below. All I did with both of these players was emphasize where is your hand facing on setup, on racket drop, on contact, and just checking those boxes, and also making a grip change with the first student. I didn't do a grip change with this student. With the first student I did, I moved her from, a real full semi-Western grip to an Eastern forehand grip, which in my mind is big progress. We're not looking to perfect this and check every box in a day, in one session together. So we're just looking to be directionally correct, make progress, get the fundamentals moving in the right direction. These players are both now using circles instead of lines, and now we're moving in a positive fundamental direction. And as they get comfortable with the new circular motion, we can start checking off other elements, like continuing to improve the grip. I was having a quick flashback. I was asking myself, did I change the grip with this player? No, I don't think I did. It was just or maybe I did. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I may have done a grip change with both of these students. I'm not gonna dive into it right now. Check out the drills. They should be on the screen right now. They're in the first comment down below. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful. And if you're a line server, hopefully this helps you get into a circular path. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.